Hello and welcome to my third heritage site on my story map. Don't worry, my Ferrari is right there. So we are currently approaching a 13th century Bothwell castle, but again, because of Corona, we can't actually go inside. The public access is restricted. But that doesn't stop me from focusing on the outside of the castle, which I think is convenient because not many people actually want to focus on the outside of the castle, and I can assure you that there's plenty of interesting things out here. Everybody's trying to get inside to see all the spooky dungeons, but out here it's equally as interesting. So let's go. So the castle is overlooking River Clyde. It's right down there behind the canopy of the trees. I can assure you it's there. Its construction was begun by Walter de Moravia, also known as Walter of Moray, in the 13th century, as I said, and it was located here to guard and overlook a very strategic crossing point on the river. The wind is actually getting a bit stronger, but I hope that you can still hear me all right. So as I said, the construction was begun by Walter of Moray, and this is the very first part that was constructed. The entire castle was not constructed by the same person because of wars of Scottish independence that first began in 1296. So the only two parts that Walter managed to complete are this prison tower and inner tower that's also called donjon. I think I'm pronouncing it right, but we can't see it because it's on the inside. So that's the first part. So because of the wars that they lasted quite a while, they were fought between the English and the Scots, and this castle it really is full of history because it kept on passing from Scottish to English hands over and over again, and it had actually survived 3 sieges in total that I know of, successful English sieges, and then the English sieges were intertwined with Scottish sieges that were taking the castle back and forth and back and forth, and it was just passing from hands to hands all the time. The first 2 sieges were undertaken by Edward I, and the third one was undertaken by Edward III. So clearly Edwards just really liked this castle and they just really wanted. So this north wall that we're looking at right now, you can see that there are some differences in height and the age of the brick used, because this part, the right one in the middle, was reconstructed in 20th century, I believe, after the first excavation, but I'm not sure if that's correct. But this part was actually constructed in the 14th century originally, under the occupation of the English. So I'm really sorry for this inconvenience, but at this point the wind was blowing so hard you probably couldn't hear me say anything. But what I was actually saying here is that this castle was then taken over by its rightful owner, Sir Andrew Murray, from under the occupation of Edward III. He destroyed this tower so that the enemy, the English, couldn't take it back if they tried again. So at this point someone's thinking, let's prevent bad things from happening instead of fixing them once they do happen. So if we continue walking from the partially destroyed tower that I just showed you, you can see that the stonework changes again, and this marks the third and final part of the castle construction. It was undertaken by the Douglases in the 15th century, and the construction involved a chapel, a great hall, which again we can't see because it's on the inside, and 2 eastern towers. One of them we can see here, and the other one is actually not here anymore. It's been destroyed and it stayed like that since. So this castle is currently owned by Historic Environment Scotland. As you can see, there is some construction going on, probably some preservation as well, and that's something I really like about this place. It's just kept in pristine condition. People make sure that it stays like that for the future generations. So when they come, they see the heritage left behind by the people from the past, and that's amazing, because this place is just full of history, and if someone wants to learn about their past, about Scotland's past, this is the perfect place to come to. Overall, there had been a lot of archaeological work undertaken all around and inside of this castle. Coming back to this tower yet again, I believe that in 2000 there was a tree somewhere here, and it had fallen down, and it had revealed some parts of the fundaments of this tower, and it actually provided this suggestion that this tower was actually destroyed on purpose, so that the enemy couldn't take it over yet again. We have now done a full circle, and this is the other tower I was talking about, and it's gone. So the archaeological works that were undertaken here, they were either preparing the site for construction of modern features like this road right here, but some of them were solely for educational purposes or for renovation purposes, like this wall right there. So what's more interesting, oh, we have some sun. So what's more interesting about this castle is that what we see today isn't actually the initial design. It's marvelous, yes, but it's not complete. And if we walk to the north of the castle, to the northern side of this wall, we can actually see some mysterious structures that are clearly not completed. See, that's one of them, and there's the other one. So that was the initial design of the castle. It was meant to stretch all the way here. There were meant to be 2 additional towers. There was a well as well, but it was unfortunately never completed. Whether it was because of lack of the funds, or people just didn't have enough time, because there were a lot of Englishmen coming to get them. But you can only imagine what the castle would have looked like if it was actually complete, and even if it wasn't complete, how marvelous it would look if it was like in its pristine condition, with the great hall inside, with the people coming, with the dungeons, the spooky dungeons I was talking about, and a lot of music playing. You can just imagine the vibe that was going on in here, and it truly is a sign of power, of prestige, of control, and determination as well, because having something taken away from you for years and years and years, and then coming back and getting it back again and again, that's determination. I would like to have some of that. We have actually come to an end of the tour of this particular heritage site. Every single inch of this castle is packed full of history, of ancestry of Scotland and England as well, and I think it's just amazing, and it is part of South Lanarkshire Council. It's definitely its legacy. Also, just one last thing that I wanted to mention, I forgot to mention in my first video, is that you can clearly see the contrast between these 2 places. Not only is this one bigger compared to the anti-aircraft battery that I was talking about in the first video, but the way that people care for these places is different. So I feel like because here you have to pay to actually go in, and it is an enclosed area, it is given access to the public, but for a price. People do care more about it. If you come here, you'll see everything is very clean. There's not a single piece of rubbish here. And if you jog your memory back to my first video, there was just a lot of crap lying around, a lot of rubbish, a lot of graffiti, as I said. And as much as the graffiti is very interesting to look at, it is destroying the site. Young people aren't caring for it as much. Maybe they feel that because they don't have to pay for it, they have the right to do with it whatever they want and not protect it. So that's a bit sad, and that's something I wanted to mention as well. But on this note, I will probably end this video. Again, I will strongly encourage you to come here to visit it on your own. Again, you can see some patchwork. Yes. So I will see you on my next site quite soon.